Donald Trump used an election rally in North Carolina last night to intensify his attacks on 4 Democrat congresswomen, describing them as hate-filled extremists. The US president devoted around 20 minutes of his 90-minute speech to the group known as the Squad, with particular attention paid to the representative for Minnesota, Ilhan Omar, who was born in Somalia but moved to the US as a child. Let's take a listen.
Representative Omar blamed the United States for the terrorist attacks on our country, saying that terrorism is a reaction to our involvement in other people's affairs. And obviously and importantly, Omar has a history of launching vicious anti-Semitic screeds.
Well, Jeremy Corbyn has this evening tweeted his disgust at the Send Her Back chants from last night's rally. The Labour leader said, if Boris Johnson and Jeremy Hunt won't use the R word, I will. Donald Trump telling 4 congresswomen of colour to go back is racist. He finished off the tweet by saying 2 contenders to be the next Prime Minister should call out this far-right hate speech for what it is. Well, in the last few minutes, the President has been answering questions about last night's rally.
I say there's far more energy on the right than there is on the left. I mean, I hear about the left. All I see is the left is fighting all over the place. I think we have far more support than they do, and I think we have far more energy than they do. And we're going to have a very interesting election. But I was not happy when I heard that chant. What I would suggest, you go there, go to North Carolina, and you ask the people, why did they say that? But that's what they said. That's what they did.
You'll stop them if they try to do it again.
Well, I didn't like that they did it, and I started speaking very quickly.
Ksenija Pavlovic is a White House correspondent and political scientist who joins me now from Washington. Good evening to you, Ksenija.
Good evening.
The president there suggesting that he didn't like it. Quite a contrast to his tweet from last night where he said, what a crowd and what great people. Does he like it?
Of course he likes it. Look, he let that happen on that stage. He incited it. So now that he's stepping back, he's doing it because some people in his party are telling him that this is unacceptable. My sources in the Republican Party are telling me that they're very surprised with this far-right stance the president is taking, and they quite honestly don't like it. I just interviewed also his former chief communication director from the White House, Anthony Scarammuci, and he didn't hesitate to use the R word. So this definitely is far-right politics. It's racism as a secondary product of his political project, and it's quite frankly unacceptable because America has always been an inclusive country. And to see this happening here in the cradle of democracy, press freedom, civil liberties, religious liberties, is quite frankly disgusting.
What if he's not actually racist, if this isn't actually necessarily what he believes, that this is part of his strategy heading towards 2020?
Every single political strategy comes from certain set of beliefs. So you don't need to be political scientists to know that. So in the case of Donald Trump, it's the mix of his own beliefs and his political strategy for the campaign 2020. So let me tell you what I believe is happening here right now. Face value, you would say that this is racism. I would argue that in conceptual terms, this is all nationalist project, that by definition, Donald Trump is a far-right nationalist, and that he's moving more and more towards a nationalist project. Because American society is racially highly diverse society, it has a very strong racial component, and this is why it comes out as racism. But I would argue that his political project is nationalist project and carries further than racism. And I will give you some other examples. Also, his political project has elements of totalitarianism, which means that he does not tolerate any kind of criticism or a different or diverse type of opinion. So let me give you some examples. For instance, if you're a member of press, and you're critical of him, he's going to do several things. He's going to pull out several strategies. One, to pull off your credential. The second one, he's going to try to fire you, or he's just going to simply call you fake news. If you are diplomatic envoy, as in case of your ambassador, Sir Kim Darroch, he's going to insult you and he's going to basically send you home to United Kingdom. Again, a different kind of opinion is not tolerated. Any kind of criticism is not tolerated. If you are, as in case of Anthony Scarammuci, he's the supporter, he's fundraiser and a donor and a former employee, and you call his actions unacceptable and you are being critical of him, you're going to get disinvited from the fundraiser, GOP fundraiser that just happened today. So Trump does not tolerate anyone who has a different kind of opinion or is critical of him. This is why you're having this love it or leave it slogan that I'm also hearing coming also from Nigel Farage and Arron. So they're echoing that. What that means? It means that you need to be blindly loyal to the president and to his political project. So, and the other thing that he's doing is he's saying abuse is going to continue. I'm not going to change my behavior, but if you don't like it, you're free to go. You can leave. So let's also keep in mind, and I'm not saying that this is happening yet in the United States, but let's keep in mind that every early political project of ethnic cleansing starts with targeting of certain members of the population. It is about expulsion. And what Trump is doing right now in his strategy, he's trying to expel and discredit and eliminate certain members of the society and American population. So we just need to wait until this really blown to the full speed to recognize these early stages and elements of very discriminatory, ultra-nationalist politics that this president is basically displaying at the moment in the United States right now.
When you listen to the send them back chants from that rally in North Carolina last night, it is reminiscent of the lock her up, the build the wall chants of 2016, and they worked for him then. So
yeah,
is he not thinking, well, he's in tune with the mood of his base?
Listen, he has a strategy, and this is something that I understand what he's doing. He knows that if the Democratic Party puts out the left candidate, you know, maybe a stronger socialist as his main opponent, it's going to be an easy game for him to beat that opponent. And what he's doing right now, he's pitting the society against each other. So yes, definitely this is the strategy that it works. But why does he need to do that? Because ask yourself this question: if he really has such a high approval, if people are happy about the economy, about the way the stock market is going, about his policies, why does he need to pursue this nationalist agenda? So this is something that is puzzling. So we are talking about approval rates, and many are saying those are very high approval rates. What I would like to consider them also as the indicator for the nationalist sentiment that he has created in this country. So I am afraid that he has agenda, a political project that he is trying to put forward through this talk on economy policies, his base, but he has a grander project. He definitely has a grand strategy here.
OK, Ksenija Pavlovic, thank you very much indeed. This is Sky News. Coming up a little bit more on that latest Trump controversy.